in the Middle East?
Well, just to be clear, regime change in Iran is not American policy. But what we want is massive change in the regime's behavior. Among other things, and the administration policy, which is across the board really, was articulated by Secretary of State Pompeo in a speech that he gave at the Heritage Foundation a few weeks after the president withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal. The fact is that Iran's economy has been mismanaged for a long time, and that the effects of this mismanagement throughout the country have been known. The Iran nuclear deal mitigated the effects of its mismanagement of the economy and gave the regime new life, gave this regime that's been the central banker of international terrorism since 1979, new assets that it could use for its nuclear weapons program, for its ballistic missile program, for its terrorist support activities, for its conventional military activities. We saw the consequences of the provision of these new resources in not reduced Iranian belligerency in the region after 2015, but increased Iranian belligerency in the region.
Allies around the globe to put more pressure on Iran, and what role will President Trump play in encouraging this pressure?
We now see plans for the Syrian regime to resume offensive military activities in Idlib province. We are obviously concerned about the possibility that Assad may use chemical weapons again. We had hoped that our strikes had created structures of deterrence to convince the Assad regime not to do that. We hope that's right, but just so there's no confusion here, if the Syrian regime uses chemical weapons, we will respond very strongly. And they really ought to think about this a long time before they come to any decision, because there's no ambiguity in the U.S. position on this point. So this is a very delicate, very difficult situation in Syria, but one that we're not going to allow the Iranians to take advantage of.
For moving the embassy to Jerusalem, does that mean that the U.S. administration...
There were some reports that it's going to be presented during the UN Assembly in September. Is that correct? Maybe you're going to wait until after?
Well, let me say on the peace plan, work continues. There are a lot of consultations that are underway, and there's no decision on the timing of when the full details of the plan will be announced. I think there's been a lot of progress in relations in the region as a result of the process of going through the possible outlines of what the plan would look like. I think there have been dramatic geostrategic changes in the Middle East with the recognition that the Iran nuclear deal has failed and failed badly. And so that gives the possibility of realignment with Israel and many of its Arab neighbors that nobody would have predicted years before. And I think it's incumbent on all of us to try and take full advantage of that. But in terms of the specifics of when the plan might be rolled out, as I say, no decision made. Now,
if Russia can't pull the Iranians out,